Let's talk about the Rockets plan.
I get
This
it
is
now.
not good.
I get it. Okay.
Houston Chronicle reported Russell Westbrook strained quad. They forced him to miss multiple games of Houston's first-round series against the Thunder. Nick, on a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous should this news make the Rockets?
8. This is awful.
8? Wow.
And it's awful for a number of reasons. There's the obvious basketball reason of the Rockets are the only team that go into the playoffs with one of their top 2 players just gone, at least for the start of the postseason. But then there's the narrative reason, and narratives matter. You traded away Chris Paul and 4 first-round picks for Russ, I would argue in large part because you had real concerns about Chris Paul's ability to be healthy at the end of a season. And now a Rockets team that I thought, and we've talked about this, even though, Broussard, you're not as high on them as I have been, that a team that could benefit the most from the bubble. They weren't going to have home court anyway, so now there's no road games. Harden and Russ get rested beforehand. All of this said, the Rockets should be able to be one of the teams where the delay and the time off in the bubble has actually been a net positive. To now not have Russ and to have staring across the court from you the guy you traded him for, who is, I believe, going to finish top 5 in MVP this year, and a team, Broussard, that's best lineup is 3 guards and can match your small ball. It's just awful timing and awful luck for a Rockets team that 2 years ago would have been NBA champions if they didn't get snake bitten with injury luck, and now this year could exit the first round because they got snake bitten with injury luck, Broussard.
Let me read between the lines of what Nick just said, America. First of all, stop it. They would not have been champions. Golden State still would have beaten them had Chris Paul been healthy. All right, that's number one. Number two, if this happens a week or two from now, and Westbrook could play against OKC, but then just got injured before the Lakers series in the second round, Nick would be singing a different tune. He'd be happy.
No, that's not true. That's unfair. That's unfair. I wouldn't be happy with an injury ever. That's unfair.
Okay, I'll give you that. You don't wish ill on anyone.
He's got one.
However,
point Nick.
However, it would help your Lakers, and you know that Houston is a threat to them. I told you that. They're a threat to the Lakers. But let's get to it. This is a problem. This is a serious problem. OKC already beat Houston 2 out of 3 games in the regular season. That was with Harden and Westbrook playing. Nick mentioned that OKC is the guards to go small ball. They also can expose Houston with the big Steven Adams. And their small ball lineup, in addition to the problems they create offensively, defensively, they're built to trap James Harden at half court and force the ball out of his hands. Now, that was fine when you had Westbrook because he's a playmaker. And you give it to Westbrook, and he creates. But now who's going to create? Eric Gordon, Daniel House, who's also injured, Austin Rivers. Now that's a big problem for the Rockets. And also, small ball will not be as effective without Westbrook. A big part of it is Westbrook's urgency and the fact that he keeps the defense on his heels with his attack mode and aggression. Now that's gone, Houston is pretty predictable. James Harden, slow half-court team. Harden creates everything, and everybody else is going to try to hit threes. This is going to be a great series if Westbrook is out.
Oh, that's a good take. Here's some stats with and without Westbrook. You know, the percentages are not that bad. The turnovers are a little bit concerning. Nick, I'm going to throw it to you here. Just from 10,000 feet, and I know that every team, if you lose a star, you're in a bad spot, but it feels like the Rockets particularly have a smaller margin for error than any other team. They're just all in on Westbrook and Harden. Do you buy that should make the Rockets extra worried?
Well, listen, I don't buy that they have a smaller margin for error. I think that If the Clippers lost Kawhi or Paul George, whoever their second best player is, if the Bucks lost Middleton, if the Lakers lost Anthony Davis, I think if any of the teams that are built around 2 stars lost one of them and they were playing a legitimate first-round opponent, you'd be concerned. The reason I think the Rockets should be extra concerned is this is a massive year for the future of the franchise. I believe Mike D'Antoni's a good coach. He also doesn't have a contract past this year. If they go out in the first round, I don't know that he will be back next season. I also think they have either the best or the second best with respect to Masai Ujiri, GM in basketball. I think they would be utterly insane to move on from him. But I watched the owner of the team have some not so flattering things to say about Daryl Morey to the president of the United States. And that makes me a little anxious about if they go out in the first round, Daryl's future, even if that's an insane thing to think about. And this team, in 2017, they're playing the Spurs. Harden gets concussed and they get knocked out of the series in 6. 2018, they're up 3-2 on the Warriors. And Chris Paul tweaks his hamstring. They miss 27 straight threes in Game 7, and they lose. Last year, they are beating the full-strength Warriors. KD goes down, and they short-circuit. Now, there's no excuse there. They should have won. They just short-circuit at the end of Game 5 and then second half of Game 6. And then this year, I think they were playing their best basketball of the year in the bubble, and then Westbrook goes down. It just feels like it's been something each of the last 4 years when you've had James Harden at the peak of his powers, and it makes me concerned the Rockets are going to make some very rash moves this offseason that they shouldn't.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.